My highlight of 2021 was this, actually. So finding out that I'm pregnant, which is very exciting.
So the highlight for me for 2021 had to be the fact that we escaped to the Northern Territory for 2 weeks. We were unbelievably lucky. Lockdown was off in regional Victoria where we were, and we managed to get on the last flight out of Victoria into Northern Territory, literally with half an hour to spare, and they shut the borders into Northern Territory as soon as the plane landed. We were unbelievably lucky and then had 2 amazing weeks.
There were cafes and there were people sitting outside again and just chatter, and I don't know, that's, it surprised me how much I had missed that. And I didn't realize until I heard everyone, and it made me feel amazing.
So the best thing about coming out of lockdown was having unconstrained access to Bella, our daughter, in Geelong, so we could see her then whenever we liked. Not entirely sure that she saw it the same way, but anyway, for us, that was the best thing about coming out of lockdown.
The things that we probably typically all took for granted beforehand, you really value and savour and appreciate now more than ever, having come out of, what was pretty tough in lockdown.
Given, I've got such a young family, my life inside of lockdown, I don't know if it's completely true, but anyway, it seemed like life was fairly similar initially when we came out of lockdown. I think the first thing I did was probably sit down and have a coffee somewhere, but it wouldn't not have been much wilder than that.
A haircut. I gave it a go on my own, cut my own hair during lockdown. It did not pan out well. It was okay on Zoom from the front, but honestly, if you saw it from the side, it was horrific.
Dinner, people, band, even people dancing. It was an awesome night out and a great way to celebrate our freedom.
Oh, this is going to sound a bit soppy, but I think it was learning that, like, everyone in our little team really cares a lot about each other. I had so many one-on-ones with different people in our little team, and often people were wondering how each other were going and wanting to look after each other and make sure that everyone else was doing okay. So yeah, it's a bit soppy, I know, but it was a nice thing I learned about my colleagues in 2021 for sure.
I just really felt that everyone was constantly desperate to support and go the extra mile and really help each other out. And yeah, that really blew me away. So that was a really, really nice thing to learn.
You learn a lot about the things that people miss, and that is an insight in itself to what your colleagues are like. So, for some of us it was like, I'd love to go out and have a meal with my friends now. And then for others, like say Chris, he just wanted to get out on the water and go sailing with his friends. And you really saw what mattered most to each of us, because that was what we were all missing the most. So that was interesting as well, for sure. The most recent embarrassing moment, right before the lockdowns, was me and Astrid were in a cafe and we were waiting for a client, but we had never met this particular client. Anyway, we were distracted. I was kind of distracted because we were just chatting, having our coffee because the client was delayed. And then a woman walked in and came over to the table, and Astrid was really animated, and I was like, "Hi, oh my God, hi, how are you?" And hugged her. But bear in mind, we hadn't met this woman, but I'm not great at hellos and goodbyes anyway. I just turned into a bit of a sheep, and I was like, well, I guess we're hugging clients now. So I just went along with it. And so I was like, "Hi, how are you?" And went to hug this woman, and then they're both Astrid and this woman were kind of took a step back, and then Astrid was like, "This is my friend, haven't seen her in ages." And then obviously it made so much more sense. Of course she wasn't just randomly hugging a client. Her friend just happened to walk in. And so then I think they were both kind of weirded out that it was very obvious I was just about to hug her for no reason, unprovoked.
So after the last lockdown, I had sort of lost all sense of how to greet, how to say hello and goodbye to people. Like, do we shake hands or just sort of do a bit of a wave? What does it look like? Anyway, Mark and I met one of our favorite clients in a cafe, and at the end of the meeting, it was literally just out of lockdown. At the end of the meeting, I sort of stood there awkwardly and he shook Mark's hand, and I wasn't sure. Then I blew him a kiss, which I feel very, very embarrassed about.
Those little funny moments that happen just from being in the same space as each other, and that you miss when you're offline or online, when you're not in person, basically.
Being with the team, really, we've got we're really, really close, and we love working together. We're very collaborative. We're always, just together and working through stuff and whiteboarding things. And to not have that, I really, really missed. And I'm so grateful to have that back.
Well, Sally and I are enablers for each other when it comes to eating snacks throughout the day. And without being in the office, I didn't have my enabler buddy there to help me eat more yummy snacks. So I think I missed that the most.
The connecting with your mates, knowing what's going on in their lives. I mean, there's also the other side of we work together best when we're in the office and we can kind of spark off each other intellectually, solve problems together. But yeah, it's the banter. It's just the stuff that you chat about every day, and I miss that when I'm stuck at home in my office.
Cycling, just more cycling. Much to the annoyance of Astrid, who would always call me in the morning and say, "Are you on the bike?" Yeah, cycling.
As a bit of a challenge, we're like, oh, why don't we do 7 sea dips like in a row for the 7 days of lockdown. Now, obviously, everyone knows what happened. It wasn't 7 days of lockdown, but we started in July, so it was absolutely freezing. We would get up every morning. We were separate because obviously there are restrictions, and we would like take a snap and be like, oh, I did mine. And so it was 7 days, then that got extended by 7 days. So then we said, oh, sure, we'll do 14 days. And then next thing you know, it was kind of just a morning routine. It was a bit of a challenge every day. I felt like I was achieving something. So that's how I ended up using my tram time every day.
Ice cream. I ate a lot of ice cream, and I still haven't gotten rid of that little new habit yet. So ice cream is, is a real staple in my diet now.
So I got into baking, but then I kind of had to give it up because I would bake batches of things and then I would eat batches of cakes and cookies and stuff, which sounds great, but it just wasn't sustainable.
It was rekindling my love for 2 things. The first is randomly raisin toast. I really got into raisin toast. And the other one was the comeback of Furry Friends, the Cadbury chocolate Furry Friends. I ate a lot of Furry Friends.
Got into pizzas. Now, Mark will find this funny because he is, I know, a big fan of pizzas. But I learned how to make pizza dough, and I learned and mastered the art of cooking pizzas in our oven. And so we would be having pizzas at least once a week, awesome pizzas. And it's been an absolute bonus of the lockdown is that we've learned how to do that properly, and we no longer buy Woolies pizza bases. I make them myself. I have to confess, we've never done Uber Eats. I have no idea why, but Uber Eats has just never been a thing for us, partly because, unlike some of my esteemed colleagues, we're not quite so food focused.
11, 12 maybe.
I got an Uber Eats every week at the weekend to signify that it was the weekend. Otherwise, it all just started to blur. So, I don't know, I'd classify that as, I'm going to say a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, so I'd say probably a 7.
I'll start with Sally. I think my favourite memory was one day we were in the office together, just the two of us, and we realised that there was a party going on in the building. It was all fully catered. There was heaps of food, all looking fantastic. But you had to have RSVP'd a week before. We hadn't done that. We'd kind of missed it and we were busy and we didn't know when we were going to be in the office. And anyway, there we were on the day, this great catering. We weren't kind of invited. So we hatched a plan together, as we do, to go down and kind of linger around and hang around while things were being set up in the hope that someone would invite us to the party and say, oh, why don't you come along even though you haven't RSVP'd? And the plan worked a treat. And we got a lot of great food. It was really fun.
Mark, everyone knows, is quite animated. And so obviously in Zoom, you have to give quite a lot, so you would be anyone would probably be louder than usual, but for Mark it was like next level loud, and I didn't realise that because it had all been on Zoom. So then when we were in the office, we were on a call, so I couldn't say it at the time, but afterwards I was like, you are shrieking, and we had a good laugh about how he had to bring it down so many notches.
My favourite memory about Astrid from the last year was moving house. She got so excited about being able to buy her, her own home together with her hubby and their beautiful little girl, and for them to see the joy that they had in buying and moving into their first house together. Amazing, absolutely brilliant. Chuffed to bits for them, and that was my highlight for Astrid for the year.
For Chris, I think it was when we, as a team, we went on the go boats down the Yarra River, but Chris is so into sailing and boats and stuff. So when we were coming up with the idea of what we would do, we wanted to do a fun activity, and all the team was back together again, and we came up with the boat idea. I think one of my favorite memories was just at one stage looking over and Chris just so looked in his element. I thought that I would just get the same plant, but it was just a different one that she still had. But that's not what happened. I went and picked up, I didn't even notice it at first because it was so small. It was honestly a little leaf, a little tiny leaf in an empty pesto jar, but not a full-size pesto jar, a little tiny pesto jar. And I can't show you it because as hard as I tried, it didn't grow. Maybe I'll try edit in a photo of it just so that you can grasp how small it was. It hasn't survived, and I don't know why I care so much, but I have other plants that I just want to show that I can, and it's even Christmas themed. So obviously I can nurture a plant. It wasn't my fault that the other one did not make it. It was because it was a leaf in a tiny pesto jar.
I bet a lot of people did this. I bought an exercise bungee. So one of these things you can use to pull, you lock it into something or onto something, and then you've got a handle on it and you kind of pull it. You can do exercise for all sorts of various muscle groups. Anyway, still got the label on it. Never used the damn thing. So total waste of time. I don't know what I was thinking. But anyway, that was the most stupid thing that I bought online.
We went on Kickstarter and there were these people who were making these really high-tech masks, and in the high-tech mask was I think they call it a UVC light. So UV light is supposed to kill viruses and whatever. Anyway, it took ages for it to arrive. By the time it arrived, there was vaccines. We were all feeling a lot calmer. Now we've got it, and oh my God. I'll show you. So there's a ventilator in here. I'll turn it on. I don't know if you can hear it. So yeah. It's hard to breathe. Anyway, weirdest lockdown purchase for sure.
Now Sally will like this, and I won't try and sing it. I can't even remember the tune. I just remember every Christmas, my favourite tune is Christmas song is by the Pogues. So that an Irish band, it's a wicked song, very Irish, but it's absolutely brilliant. And if all I could do every Christmas was just play that Pogue song over and over again and avoid any Michael Bublé, I'd be happy.
My favourite Christmas song is by the Pogues, and it's Fairy Tale in New York.
It's Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You. Best Christmas song ever.
Look, I've got to be honest, Christmas songs are not my thing. Although I'm a bit scared to say this here out loud, but I do watch Love Actually every year at Christmas time. Don't think less of me. I don't know, I do. It's just something I do.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.